Hi, I'm Bukeka. I'm the B.
And I'm Enolia, and I'm the E.
Together, we are Be Empowered.
The universe is calling, calling, calling. The universe is calling me to be. The universe is calling me to love beyond my boundaries. The universe is calling me to be. It's calling me to listen more, talk less, and hold the light. The universe is calling me to be.
We believe that deep in our souls, we hold conversations, but for whatever reasons, we do not always take the opportunity to speak from our hearts.
We want you to imagine that you're sitting right here with us now, sipping a cup of tea or coffee at our dining room table, and we're having that conversation. You know, the one that encourages, inspires, and motivates you to the infinite possibilities that your life has to offer.
Let us help you to expand your imagination, to create your beautiful dream into reality. It starts right here and right now, because the universe is calling you to be.
The universe is calling me to sing into the heavens. The universe is calling me to sing. Oh, to sing like I have never sung in all my given lifetimes. The universe is calling me to sing. The universe is calling, calling, calling. The universe is calling me to be. The universe is calling, calling. The universe is calling me to be. It's calling me.
So good morning, and welcome to another episode of Be Empowered. This is Enolia, and I'm here with my dear friend Bukeka Blakemore.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Enolia. How are you?
I'm doing so well and so good to be here. And we have a hot topic for you because right now, in this day and age of awakening, we have the fact that many people are coaches. And the title of our episode today is Coaching the Coaches. And you might say, why would you want to coach the coaches? Because many of the people who have decided to coach have just jumped in head first or feet first, all in, but may not necessarily be ready. So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about the fact that as a coach, or as calling yourself a coach, if your work is organized and prepared, God bless you. But if your work is not organized, if your work is not prepared, if you are just going by your intuition only, let's talk about some of the key factors that are going to help you succeed. What do you think, Bukeka?
Well, I think it's very important because of the fact that we do have so many people that are leaping into the coaching industry. And then there's a lot of people that are following them and are depending on them to give them information that's going to help them in life. So I think it's really important, a very important topic, because we want to help those coaches be able to serve their clients in a much more expansive and more intentional way. So I think it's a great topic, Enolia.
So you're absolutely right, Bukeke. And one of the things that we should probably initiate and start off with is that, okay, here you are as a coach, you're a brand new coach. You kind of have all of these tools. You've maybe taken a certified class. You maybe have all kinds of things that you feel that you can grab onto to help that individual. But what I've been finding as I've been working with other coaches, because I do work with other coaches, is flow. Is a flow such that all of the work that you've done, all of the tools that you have in your toolkit actually isn't just unloaded all at once. Mm-hmm. That there is an organization to it, There is a methodology to it, and that may be missing in a lot of people's foundational toolkit. And how do you get to flow? How do you get to organize your work such that you're not throwing the kitchen sink at that individual who may have that issue or problem?
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, when you're talking about flow, it's like you're really looking at a roadmap. You're looking at what are the processes that actually lead to success. And I don't think a lot of coaches, or maybe they are, maybe they're not, but there are some coaches out there that really haven't thought this through. What is my process? What is my flow? What gets me from point A to point B, which ultimately allows them to be a better and better service to their clients. So I think you're right. I think a lot of people are under the understanding, well, I'm knowledgeable, I am personable, I have certain gifts. And so now I'm just going to share that information in a way that says I'm going to be a coach without really understanding what their model is for coaching. And I think that's a very important process that will ultimately lead to them to knowing what is their ability to succeed or help their clients to be coached well.
Exactly. And if you think about it, any project that anyone engages, you have the project and you have all these pieces and parts to it. Okay. And what is typically created in a project that a project manager would do is a work breakdown structure. There is an order to the operations of how you engage the project. So I'm going to take that as an analogy for the human being. Okay, we recognize that this human being is all in one, right? All of their pieces, parts, and components all kind of like gathered there together. And there is a work breakdown structure on understanding and how to approach and engage that human being, no matter what your experience is and what you're bringing to the table. And a lot of times that's what's missing. So you kind of have all of these pieces, parts, and components, and you're looking at this human individual and it's all in one, and you're not quite sure how to do a work breakdown structure, how to engage this person such that, okay, you understand that this particular issue is at hand and you want to help them solve the issue. But that work breakdown structure allows you to see what's feeding that issue, where the trauma might reside, where the origin of that issue came from, how many other things are feeding that energy of that issue, how many relationships are engaged in supporting the dysfunction of that energy of that issue. So there is that first part where if we don't understand what comes first in our toolkit, how to engage that roadmap, in other words, exit 1 comes first, exit 2 comes second, exit 3 comes third, and we think that we can just jump to exit 8, and skip 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7 and get the problem fixed. What is the actual engagement of what we've learned that says that we should jump to exit 8? It is possible, but what led us to that? And if there's not something that logically and logistically leads us to that, we need to step back.
Yeah, I agree. If you don't have that, how do you know that you're moving forward? If you don't have a roadmap, how do you know that you're getting to the place that you want to go? Let's look at it from a GPS perspective, right? The GPS tells us, this is where you want to go. And these, like you said, this is the exit, these are the steps, these are the roads that you want to take. And you know that you successfully gotten to that destination because you took those steps. Well, it's the same with coaching. You create the steps, and then you put those steps into practice. You have to have a way to let your clients know that they're getting from one stage to the next successfully. And if you don't have that in place, how do you know that they're getting there successfully? And how do they know? Is it just a matter of feeling good? Oh, I feel better. I've had this person talk to me, and now I have a greater sense of lightheartedness about the issue. Or is there really a change? Is there really something that says you've successfully completed this mark and now it's time to go to the next level? What do you think?
Well, I think that you said a mouthful, and I think that all of it is right. So then let's talk about frequency, right? So people will feel exactly the way you said, and they'll go, well, I met with her once, or I met with him once. No. In this world of instant gratification, we cannot meet with somebody once or twice or 3 times and say, guess what, the problem's resolved, right? Those problems did not come into play into that person's life in one day or one meeting, 2 meetings or 3 meetings. Or if they did, they've had a lifetime of cultivation of the baggage and the dysfunction that we attach to it. And in this world of instant gratification, we think that we can resolve the problem just like that. Just overnight. Just 1 meeting, 2 meetings. Oh, that's the problem. That's it. I pinpointed it. I fixed it. Face it. Go on your merry way. It doesn't work like that. If your client is not willing to meet over a, let's say, 3 to 6 month period, it's unrealistic. It's looking for instant gratification. It's looking, hey, will you fix me? And we're not there to fix anyone. As a coach, you're there to help unravel and guide and assist in giving the tools to look at it from a different point of view. And do this in a methodical flow that helps and assists the person week by week by week as they engage. And in this world, and I keep saying in this world of instant gratification, because there's this ideal that, oh, she has a problem, so I'll tell her about this, and this, and I will sit there thinking that I could fix everything in one sitting, in one conversation. Or here's another perspective, I'll throw the kitchen sink in, and when I say that, it's just like, oh, well, I have this tool and I have this tool, and why don't you try this and why don't you try that? And you give them like everything in one sitting, and all you've done is given them so much that it's just like feeling a little bit overwhelmed and going, thank you, but no thanks. So all of these are the common mistakes that are made with people first coming out of the gate. Yeah. We think that we have to prove ourselves in our value and our knowledge and everything. So what we do is we give too much into that one sitting, wanting to fix it. When the very first thing anyone should be doing in any scenario is listening.
Yeah, I agree. The word coach, so much we understand from a sports perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's look at it from that for just a little bit. We know that coaches, from a sporting perspective, they do that very thing. They have a methodology. They're not just saying, hit that ball, hit that ball, hit that ball, hit that ball. They're saying, okay, so here's how you hit it in this corner, or here's how you throw it to that person. There's a methodology in place. But the other thing that coaches do, they listen to see if the person that they're coaching is actually going to be able to receive that information, right? And they listen for key words. They listen to see how much they're able to absorb what they're being coached to do. If you're just telling them and they're saying, yeah, I've got this, well, then they don't need you, right?
That's right.
Exactly. And so it's important as coaches to be able to listen to your clients as well as be able to see how well they are able to adapt to the idea of being coached. And that's a part of, I think that's a very important part of the methodology. Before you even jump into helping to save someone's life, find out if they're willing to be coached, if they're willing to accept the information and then put that information into practice, or else both of you are pretty much wasting your time.
You're exactly right. And, I love the analogy you gave because what do coaches do? They create strategies. They look at the challenge that is in front of them. They observe it. They understand the piece, parts, components, and skill sets of it, right? And I don't mean to belittle a person to it, but, the scenario, right? And then they create a strategy of approach, a strategy of engagement. They test that strategy. And if it's not working, they're able to be flexible enough to say, okay, I need to revisit the strategy and come up with a different game plan because this isn't working. All of these pieces are so important. So, so, so important. And as we engage in being that coach, the first thing that anyone should be doing, no matter what, is an assessment. A
Yes.
listening skills assessment. What is my challenge that stands before me? What needs to be worked with first? What is it that is truly impeding this person from being the best person that they can be? And how do I navigate getting this person to understand and see that, knowing that it would be very painful to take a look?
Yeah. One thing I notice about you, Enolia, as a coach is that the way that you respond to certain things. And you respond to certain things in a way that is observant, even if you're not actually seeing the person doing the things. You respond in a way that is observant, and you say one word, and that word is okay. And what that means is, to me, how I receive that is, number one, you're listening, you're paying attention, you're acknowledging, but you're not over acknowledging. If I say something to the effect of, and just as an example, I did this today, this is what happened, da, 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 da. And you might say, okay, and right, and
Yeah.
the reason why you do that, from my perspective, is that because, number one, you're paying attention, you're listening, you're waiting to probably see, well, does Bukeka want information back? You're waiting to see if I have a question, if I want to be coached, if I want some assessment of what I've just told you. So, there's a way of really being a coach without, like you said, for lack of a better word, throwing up everything that you have on someone, and just sitting back and going, okay, and waiting to see what the next step is, whether you're going to engage or how you're going to engage based on what you're observing from an audible standpoint, mainly, or certainly from a visual standpoint, because you're looking at an individual, their cues, their facial expressions. Is this authentic? Is this real? So I really appreciate the way that you are coaching others, because you do it in such a way that is thoughtful, and as well as strategic.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. You're sitting here making me blush. I think that when we listen, when we observe, the person that is speaking is giving away volumes of information. And one of the first skills is in listening is to be able to understand what information is being presented to you and the underlying thoughts, feelings, reasons, and everything that goes along with that. And to do it from a non judgmental way. The non judgmental way is so important. So, the way that we do this is we do this from a non judgmental way. It is so important for us to allow the stories to unveil themselves before we jump in and judge it or commiserate with it, cut it off, and then never hear the rest of the story because we're so busy commiserating, we haven't taken the time to listen. We haven't taken the time to be observant. We haven't taken the time to hear the whole game so that we can create a game plan for the next conversation or even the next part of the conversation. So we've talked about this from the coach's perspective. Let's switch up a little bit and talk about it from the client's perspective.
Love it.
So when we sit back and we think about, as a client, being coached or sitting there having a conversation with someone who could potentially help us, one of the things that most of us are we're in our own way.
Yes.
And what that means to me is that we don't want to acknowledge, grasp, or face the fact that, okay, we have certain amount of issue stories and energy that we've just it's going in a dysfunctional way. We know we need help. We don't know really how to help ourselves. We feel trapped. We feel like we can't move past this story. We feel stagnant, we don't feel like we have the freedom to do or be or exhibit our own truth, whether it's within relationship, whether it is within situation, whether it's just within this world. And what's the first thing that we should be doing as a client when we're engaged with this coaching person? What do you think?
Well, I think the first thing an individual wants to do as a client is to really make the decision, I need to change.
Mm-hmm.
They have to come to a place of noticing that what they've been doing is not working. But here's the thing too. You can say, okay, this isn't working. I need a coach. And you get engaged with that coach. And then that coach will give you their methodical process of what it is, the next steps, or what their process is to get you moving along in the direction that you want to go. At that point, that client is going to feel very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Because they know they've made this commitment in their mind, but they haven't made it in their core where they're ready to actually do the work, right? And so they have to make another decision. Do they want to do the work? They've made the first decision to hire a coach because they know that what they're doing is not working. Then when they get that information, then they have to make the decision of whether or not they want to do the work. And then they're going to go through another stage, because then they're going to start that process and they're going to have to actually do it. And they have to make the decision at that point, do I really, really want to do this? And if they really are committed to their own development, their own the desire to succeed, then they will go through that 3 to 6 month process, and they will also listen. They'll take in that information and they will process it and put it into play. But it's a big decision to want to change. Most of our whole existence tells us, stay right where you are. It's safe right where you are. Don't go outside the comfort zone, because if you do, then it's not going to be comfortable. So I think for clients, make sure that you're ready to jump in. If you really want to make that shift, go for it and allow yourself to be coached into a new way of doing things, living your life, being successful, turning things around.
I so agree with you. And you said, I think, two words that should be really, really highlighted. Are you existing in this world, or are you living in this world? And the existence means that this is what happens to me, and I have no choice but to respond. And the living in this world is the navigation through whatever challenges come at you. And typically, when we're looking for a coach, we're existing in the world and we feeling like we have no power to influence how we navigate through life. And really, in all of this, that's the reason why you go to a coach.
Right.
You go to a coach to get tools to help you break through this limited belief that you don't have the power to change your life.
Yeah.
But in order to break through that limited belief, you have to fundamentally reach down to some of the key belief systems that you have, the way that you look at life, the way that you exist in life, the way that you process these situations that are taking place around you, and change it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's the goal of why a coach would be put into play.
Yeah.
And that you feel worthy and strong enough to navigate any circumstance in life, regardless of what the story is or the circumstance. That you have the courage and the strength to make key decisions to move forward.
Yeah.
And so it's this at the core of all of it, of finding a compatible client with a compatible coach.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
as a client, if you're not receiving that, then that coach is not for you.
Yeah.
And as a coach, and especially for those of you who are new, who are coming out of the starting gate, you must see this. Because if you don't see this, then you're not facilitating a movement forward for that individual. With the best of intentions, you may inspire them or lift them up, but it's more than that. It's a key strategy. And
Right.
then I will go back to the client side and I will say that is, if you want someone to fix you and you want instant gratification and you want to do it in 1 or 2 meetings, I always have this saying, how do we lie to ourselves? You're not being honest with yourself. Because how you got, or how you arrived to where you're at in this moment in time in life did not happen overnight. So why do you think that unraveling it is going to happen overnight? You gotta take the time, put in the time, do the work, get out of your own way, and step up to the challenge.
Enolia, you are so right. Not only did this not happen overnight, it didn't happen totally in your lifetime.
Mm, there you go.
Whoever you were, who we all are, is a culmination of generations of generations of generations of thoughts, beliefs, actions. So if you really want to, as a client, move past some of the things, the limiting beliefs, not only that, but the physical stuckness that you're in, you have to be willing to understand that it isn't going to be an overnight process, because not only was it uh did it culminate over your lifetime, but over the many lifetimes of the ancestors and the generations before you. So, I look at the fact that, I am an African American woman, right?
Hmm.
And in my experience, in the particular generation that I'm in, a bulk of that, a large lifetime span of that, was the civil rights movement. So, and the one word that you hear in the civil rights movement is the word struggle. You hear that word struggle a lot. The struggle is real. The struggle is this: struggle, struggle, struggle. So if I adopt that into my psyche, that all my life and everything that I am here to possibly accomplish is a struggle, I've already killed my ability to move forward.
Hmm.
And I'm not knocking the civil rights movement or anything like that at all, because there's also so much of it that propels and moves you forward to move past limiting beliefs. But there are those things that I recognize in my psyche from how I lived in the era that I lived in, that is indicative of the word struggle. So when we go to our coaches, when we decide that we want to move past these limiting beliefs, we've got to be willing sometimes to give up things that are tough, but they're also treasured and a part of our, I don't know how to best say this, but sometimes it's really hard to give up those things that um, have been with us for millennia.
Yeah, I so agree. I so agree. And you know what? I think that we've given our audience just enough to think about.
Yeah.
Just enough. And I'm going to leave it on that word because I think that that's powerful what you said. And that's going to take us into a whole nother discussion. So there's going to be a part two.
Yeah.
What do you think, Keiko?
I think this is absolutely warranting a part two discussion. And yeah, I'm excited to go down this road.
Yeah, so am I. So what do you think, audience? Food for thought. We're here. We want to talk about coaches, coaching the coaches, helping you out, hoping that we can establish a very good foundation for you. And Bukeka brings a ton of experience to the table. I bring a ton of experience to the table. If you are one of those coaches that needs assistance in organizing your work, talk to us, email us, let us know your thoughts. And as we embark on knowing that we want to do part two, we'd love to hear from you. Share with us. Let us know your thoughts on this topic. It's important. There are many people calling themselves coaches, and we need support too.
Well, Enolia, I have totally enjoyed this episode. I'm looking forward to part two of Coaching the Coaches. Thank you, everyone, for listening in to BE Empowered. We are here to help empower your life. Whatever you're doing in your life, that's what Enolia and I are here to do. So thank you so much for listening, and come back around for part two of Coaching the Coaches. And Enolia, thank you so much for bringing this up.
Thank you, Bukeka, and thank you to the audience for opening your heart and sharing and listening.
Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed the show. We look forward to bringing you more shows in the future. To learn more about our co-hosts, check out their websites, www.bukekastyle.com and www.enolia.live. Learn about their masterclasses for conscious transformation, their personal coaching, along with their international retreats and expeditions. Are you an entrepreneur looking for another line of income? Check out www.planetmarketing.com/Enolia and www.planetmarketing.com/bblakemore. We are here to transform your life. Thank you for listening.